picture with a lot more buttons.
What is up, everybody? I am Kevin Iole. Thank you for joining me. We've got a little technical difficulty, but we got him now. One of the top 10 fighters in the world on KevinIole.com. Number 9, the Bellator bantamweight champion, Mr. Patchy Mix. Patchy, how are you, brother?
Number 1, Patchy Mix. Yes, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing awesome. So you got a tough fight on Friday at Accor Arena in Paris. Magomed Magomedov. You have already beaten him one time, but I know I like to start with all the tough questions first, right? So let's get the really difficult question out of the way. Where did we get Patchy out of Patrick?
Oh, my grandfather, he named me Patchy. So they call me Patchy Mix, like it's my nickname. My grandparents kind of gave it to me when I was a kid, and instead of calling him Patrick all the time, it was like Patchy. And it just grown on me. Only my family and friends, my close friends, called it me that my whole life. No one in high school, I guess, really knows me as that. So like only my family, and then when I went into fighting, it just kind of stuck with me.
There you go. Well, it's now you made a name for yourself, and so Patchy is the big name. Let's start with this. What is it like in a rematch? You're going against a guy that not that long ago you've already fought. So, do you think the fight goes the same way, or do we see a different fight? Given both guys will probably make some adjustments.
I think we'll see the same fight. Same fight. I think his skill set's limited. I think. I don't know. I just think that what I do well is where he's good, and I think we're going to go to the ground again. I think I could choke him out.
Interesting about that. Is it frustrating that you now PFL owns you guys? You go to a big event. You're in Paris, where I'm sure there's going to be a big crowd, and you're fighting somebody. Instead of fighting somebody new, you're fighting a guy you've already fought before.
It doesn't matter. I already lapped the division. I fought everyone in the top 5, so I knew I was going to have to fight someone. I think Leandro Higo's the only guy, and he's a backup here. Who knows? Maybe Maga might not make it to the fight. I'll fight him. Who knows? But, I think I'm just excited to fight him. I'm looking at it as a complete different fight. 17 months ago, I choked Magomed Magomedov to sleep. That name in general, like, with a Magomedov name, he's I'm thinking that he's been up all night, since that fight and working his ass off. So
Right.
I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a new fight, and I'm excited to answer the questions. I think that he thinks I caught him. I think that he thinks that I don't know what he thinks, but I know I didn't just catch him. I know I'm better than him, and I believe in more ways than one I can do it again.
Do you feel like your confidence has grown since the Grand Prix? Like, did that prove anything to you? Where you stand in this sport, where you stand among the 135 pounders?
No, I'm the best 135 pounder in the world. It's because I train with the likes of Merab. I train with Aljo. I train with all these other big names and stuff, So I know where I stand, and they say Sean O'Malley's the best. It's without a doubt I'm the best in the world. I didn't get confidence from the Grand Prix. All the Grand Prix did is put $1 million in my bank account. It just gave me wealth. But it didn't change my training regimen. It didn't. If anything, I train harder now. It didn't give me confidence. So I've been the best guy in the world for about 2 years now. Like, people don't realize it, but I've been training with, I think Aljo was a GOAT of bantamweight. I've been training with him for a couple years. I know where my level's at because I train with such other high-level pros, you know what I mean? Not just at my weight, but at 45, at 55, at 70. And I rarely lose seconds in any of my training. So, I'm at my in my prime right now. I'm at the peak of my career. I mean, a few years ago, I feel like guys could catch me, but catch up to me. Maybe, I have one loss that I had to learn kind of like experience-wise, but I don't think that. Not only can they don't beat me, they barely can, they just can't even survive me. I don't think they can beat me. I don't think they can survive me.
Well, and I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm going to preface it by saying I don't mean any negative toward Juan Archuleta, but knowing what you've accomplished and knowing your skill set, how did he beat you? How did you lose that fight?
Well, when I fought Juan, it was July 24th. I was supposed to fight him, and he pulled out of the fight because of COVID. And then they called me about a month later, 3 weeks later, and I just hadn't been ready for the fight because they told us we were going to fight in December. So, I think it's the beginning of COVID happening. I thought he had COVID and I was going to have to sit for a while. Instead of me being at training camp, I went home. My birthday was in August. I spent time with my family, and they called me to fight him on 3 weeks' notice. Now, we never talked about this much, but I took that fight in 20 days and then had about 14 days to train for it, and then got shipped back to Connecticut and fought him in an empty crowd. I dominated him the first 10 minutes, took his back, maybe even a 10-8 round in the first, and then lost 3 really, really close rounds. So what he did is survive me, he didn't, when I look at it, you give me proper time to get ready and now I'm champion. So you can't give me no short notice fights. You can't do none of that shit. You give me proper time. There isn't a guy that's going to beat me. There isn't a guy that's going to compete with me. And there isn't a guy that probably won't get finished by me. And I'm talking about every single one that's top in the world from 1 through 15.
Well, that's I have you in my top 10, and I guess let's talk about this. You're over at Extreme Couture training. I'm sure you go with Merab a lot. He's going to be fighting for the UFC title come up. Tell me about your sessions with Merab, and the one thing that makes Merab so tough is that he has that unbelievable cardio, right? That's what he's for. When you roll with him, what's that like going with Merab?
Bro, it's good. Me and Merab are good buddies. We're training partners, It's good. We got different styles, I got cardio for days. I could wrestle and do jujitsu. I got a good front headlock. He could wrestle. He could, he could strike well. He could do everything well too, So it's good. I feel like me and him are the best in the world, If I said, I believe I'm the best, and I'm sure he believes he's the best. Right. And every single time we train, we go at it like we both believe that. So it's exciting to see. It's exciting because I feel truly in my heart that we are the 2 best guys at the weight class, and we get to compete. Like, I got to spar him for 5 rounds, 5-minute rounds straight, a bunch of times leading up to this fight. So, I did 5 probably fight simulations with Merab, to get ready for Magomed. So that's kind of what also gives me the confidence to tell me where I am in the world. You know what I mean? And even before that, like 3 years ago, me and Merab were training prior to him winning against Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, and all these fights. When he went on this crazy run, I was training with him then. And previous to me going on my crazy run of finishing Stotts, Maga, and Pettis. So we've been training for a long time. And I feel like over the last few years, I think that me and him have, I think he's at the top of the league. Of his league, of just the league in general, of bantamweight, and I think I'm at the top too. So I think we're the 2 best guys right now.
I want to ask you this. Dana White made a comment the other day about just the show in general. He talked about the need to go away from UFC Apex and go fight on the road and be out in different cities. From your standpoint as a fighter, not as a promotion, but as a fighter, does it benefit you going to places like Paris where different audiences will get to see you live and maybe become familiar with you who might not have been familiar with you before?
It's cool for the fan metric aspect, but I don't give a shit. I'll fight them in Extreme Couture on Friday if they wanted me to. You know what I mean? I didn't have to fly all the way to Paris to do this, but like they told me before, I'll fly to Japan. I'll make a whole different weight class. I made 133 when I went there, and I'll fight anybody. So you fly me to Paris, you fly me to Ireland, Japan, Hawaii, Connecticut, New York City, anywhere in the world. It don't matter where you bring me. I'll step in and I'll do my job and I'll win.
Let me throw this at you though, and I think we're seeing it a little bit with Merab, and certainly we see Conor McGregor is a great example of it, right? This is a business, not only a sport, right? And for you to make more money, if you're in fact, as you say, Patchy, the best fighter in the world, don't you want people to know it and people all around the world to be able to look and say, hey, this guy is the best?
Yeah, that's not my job, though. My job is to promote my fights, talk the way I talk, and finish fights. The promoter's job is to when to promote us, not us. I mean, I talk. I could say everything I want. But the reason why those names that you just spoke are so high is because the amount of fans that are seeing them. I mean, you're looking at metrics of, let's say, 1 or 2 million followers on Instagram for my promotion, whereas his promotion has 35 million followers. So he has probably 30 times the networking and promoting in a sense. So that's how those guys get big. But I mean, I'm not hurting on money. I make a lot of money doing it. I make champ money. I have good sponsors, and I'm only getting better. So the best that you can do is if you're the best, it will prevail. Like look at Habib Nurmagomedov, you know, 30-0. I mean, 29-0 was the best. And by the end of his career, he really was getting the most out of it. When Habib was like 22-0, he had more fights than I had now, and he wasn't like super big yet. So my time's still coming, and I'm just looking to stay. As long as I remain and keep my dominance, shit, it's all gonna come.
Do you feel like your best days are going to be at 135, or do you feel eventually you're going to move up and you'll make even a bigger name at 145?
I'll make a bigger name. I'll my best days aren't done yet. I'll win champions at 130. I'll be a champion at 135. And then eventually I will go up to 145. I will fight all those guys as well. And I will be a world champion there as well.
You got great length. You're what, like 5'11", 6 foot tall, right? So for a 135 pounder,
Yeah.
is that an advantage for you being, you know, especially if you're grappling, or do you have those limbs sometimes that maybe work against you because somebody else can grab onto something?
No, I'm the best grappler, and no one even in my weight class can even compete with me at all. So it's like I don't really worry about my limbs being too long, but it works for like my range and shit. And it works good for I'm a 135 pounder, you know, being 5'11", having a 72-inch reach, you know. I'm bigger than most of the guys, so you know, you kind of see it. And then with me too, like no matter the size of my opponents, like short, tall, I'm not like O'Malley where I kind of match up well, you know. Whenever he fights kind of a guy his length, like, you know what I mean, he kind of has trouble, seeing as he got TKO'd by Chito once, got his leg kicked by Andre, another fight. Even had trouble with the little short guy in Peter Yan. So like with my style, I feel like it favors me in striking, but also in grappling.
Awesome. Bellator Champion Series 2 is on Friday in Paris, France, and the U.S. You can watch it on television. Main event, Patchy Mix, my guest right now, against Magomed Magomedov. Patchy, thank you, brother. Good luck to you.
Always, man. Thank you, brother. I hope to, you know, I hope you're tuning in on Friday and you get to see some excitement.
No doubt. Look forward to it. Thank you, brother.